So, this is Jay Lava, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna learn you today, boy. We go ask some questions today, boy. We just talked about swimming, so if you can or if you can't swim, I'm gonna need you to go to that previous video and check him on out. But this one, we're asking, what is Jim Crow, right? Yeah, you hear about it. You know, time goes on. We in 2021 now, and some people might not necessarily even really know what Jim Crow was. So I am going to embark on a journey, and we are going to explore here on the Keep It P podcast what Jim Crow was, or actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna read what they trying to say it was, and if I have to bust it down, you know I'm gonna bust it down. But we finna get it in. I'll be right back on the Keep It P podcast.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, TZ Vaughn Savage and Jay Lava is in the fucking building.
Come
with
on
the
in,
Keep
hit
It
that
P
like,
podcast,
hit that share,
motherfucker.
hit that subscribe, Joe. It's going down now. We asking some tough questions here, buddy. This is the discussion you don't want to miss here, okay? All right. Share this broadcast with your peoples. Yes, sir. Off the dresser. I ain't giving you nothing less,
Music TV.
Come on now. Get on up in here. It's sirs. It's real sirs. Get on up in here. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Music TV.
All right, y'all. Out of the darkness into the light. It is I, Jay Lava. Oh no, not critical race theory. Oh yeah, exactly that. Well, you know, some people know, some people don't know. I decided it'd probably be a good topic. You know, let's see. So I'm reading from an article. I'm reading from. Let me show y'all where I'm reading from. I'm reading from an article of this. It's what is Jim Crow? All right. So come on, let's dive in there. This is the Keep It P podcast, where we take the news, situations, everyday occurrences, and indeed we show how one could have and could not have been keeping it P. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm trying to show you how to think. That's the reason why I bust down these articles the way I do. Now, it says Jim Crow was the name of a racial caste system which operated primarily but not exclusively in the southern and the border states between 1877 and the mid 1960s. So let's put a timeline on that. So let's just go roughly 100 years, okay? Jim Crow was more than a series of rigid anti-black laws, hence the word. Y'all see the shirt now. Now you wonder why I made the shirt, right? You wonder why, right? The shit's still going on today. But let me proceed. It goes on to say, it was a way of life. Under Jim Crow, African Americans were regulated to status of second-class citizens. Jim Crow represented the legitimate anti-black racism. Many racist ministers and theologians taught that whites were the chosen people. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Okay. They taught in their churches, like religion, like God ordained. Listen now. They taught that blacks were cursed to be servants and that God supported racial segregation. Chronologists, eugenists, Fearologists. I'm sorry. Okay, I've never seen them words before. Social Darwinists at even an educational level buttressed that the belief that blacks were innately, intellectually, and culturally inferior to whites. Pro-segregation politicians gave eloquent speeches on the great dangers of integration and the mongrelization of the white race. So basically what that means is, let me bust that down for you. So they gave speeches and put fantasies in people's heads of the degradation, well, that's a big word too, the decline of white population if they decided to mix with black folks. That's about the easiest way I could say it. A newspaper and magazine writers routinely referred to blacks as niggers, coons, and darkies, and worse, their articles reinforced anti-black stereotypes. Even children games portrayed blacks as inferior beings, seen from the hostile reverence, 100 years of African American imagery in games. So that makes me think about at the county fairs. So just to give y'all a little mind in the PC culture, at the county fairs there was these games where they would have the baseball. You know the dunk things that they got right now, where they dunk people, throw the ball and they dunk people. They be having them now. Well, those used to be hit a little nigger kid in the face games, and they used to have little nigger kids stick their face out, and people would throw baseballs at them and sock them in the head. Yeah. All majority society instituted, reflected, and supported the oppression of blacks. Let's stop there for a second. Do you think this type of stuff is still going on? Because it is. Has anything really changed? Isn't that what they're trying to institute right now? Like with the benign neglect policy in elections? Like, you know, frog leaping over over all of our demands for everybody else. Ain't that what's happening right now? Is there anything that's really changed? You know what really needs to change? We need to get on code. That's what needs to happen. People need to start putting what's best for the group up front, because we are a select, unique group. People who survive this shit. There's not a lot of people in the diaspora that has such a triumphant story. I'm sorry, the people over there in Africa can't say, the people that came over here from Africa can't say that shit, because they shit still being colonized, and you left, nigga. You over here, cuz. We thought we was fighting in the 60s on the divestment shit, trying to get y'all over here as reinforcement to help us fight this bullshit. But y'all come over here talking that Akata shit. Let's tell the truth about it, right? Now I don't speak in absolute, so that's always some but not all. But for the majority, y'all need to check your mans in there. But let me go ahead and continue. Jim Crow was a system was undergirded by the following beliefs or rationalizations. Whites were superior to blacks in all important ways, including but not limited to intelligence, morality, civilized behavior. Sexual relations between black and whites would produce a mongrel race which could destroy America. You hear that? Destroy America. Why would it destroy America? Think about that. Think about that. It's not America that well, if you think in terms of America being white, well, yeah, it would destroy whiteness. So you got to listen to what they're saying. They're saying blacks and whites mixing will be a mongrel race, which would destroy America. But guess what, y'all? They have accepted that now. Now they're trying to monopolize it now, because every commercial you see has either a black man and a white woman, or a white man and a black woman together, or like that one Tricky Tie commercial, you see the jet black man and then you see his light-skinned curly haired kid, so you only assume that, right? You know what I mean? So they've accepted the fact, and now that's one of their tactics now. But they also brought Asians in for reinforcement, which is the reason why they gave them the crime bill, to kind of put them on an elevated status. They still gonna smack them around a little bit to let them know who's boss, but they wanted to bring them there too, because if y'all notice, most white gentlemen prefer an Asian chick. Let's just keep it real about that. There's still a lot of white unions, but it seemed like the more prominent ones, shall I say, the more well-to-do ones, like look at Roger Ailes. Look at all of CNN. Out like all of them. They got Asian chicks. They got little Asian sons. But that's because they playing the long game. They playing the game that they playing with us, just on a different scale. They having them Keanu Reeves to infiltrate over there in China one day, right? Because it's all really about total world global domination. And, you know, China's the last frontier in terms of being dominated. But in my opinion, they are dominated and taking second fiddle on purpose, because there's a lot of things that they can do and blah, 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 blah. But rest assured that they both against the black man and India and everybody else. We don't have the friends. We can't even get Jamaicans and Caribbeans to ride. They think they colonized British people. I mean, it's sick out here. I didn't mean to go on that rant, but let me go ahead and keep going. I'm not finna read this whole thing because look, it's a lot. Okay, let's read this. Jim Crow and any and all sexual interactions between black men and white women was illegal, illicit, socially repugnant, and within Jim Crow defined of rape. Although 19.2% of lynching victims between 1882 and 1951 were even accused of rape, lynch laws was often supported by popular belief that lynching was necessary to protect the white women from black rapists. Meredith, 1994, refutes the belief in this way. There is much a reason to believe that this figure is 19.2% has been inflated by the fact that the mob, which makes the accusation of rape, is secure of any further investigation. By a broad Southern definition, rape of including all sexual relations between Negro men and white women, and the psychopathic fear of white women and their contact with Negroes. The most black were lynched for demanding civil rights, violating Jim Crow etiquettes and laws, and aftermath of race riots. That was a lot right there that they said. They try to squeeze it all into one paragraph, but basically what they are saying is one of the things that fueled this was the first motion picture, which is called Birth of a Nation. If y'all don't know, go look it up. But it was actually showed in the White House, and this film depicted reefer crazed black men just ravaging lily white girls. It's propaganda at its highest form, and basically we had PC culture has been just inundated, like just non-stop. What do you think Fox News is? It's a 24-hour propaganda machine. What do you think CNN is? 24-hour propaganda machine. What do you think MSNBC? 24-hour propaganda machine. What do you think TV shows are? 24-hour those are 30-minute propaganda, 15-minute propaganda machines broken up by a couple commercials. What do you think movies are? Propaganda machine. They have been manipulating the population with propaganda for so long. It's ridiculous. So they go on with the lynching. Let's talk about the lynching. Let's go ahead and finish this out. Lynching were most common in small and middle-sized towns where blacks were often economic competitors to local whites. Did y'all hear that? Economic competitors. You see that? Economics. Furthermore, the reason why checks should be wrote to foundational black Americans. Because Tulsa, economic. Rosewood, economic. Seneca Village in New York, economic. Tearing down the highway system, economic. Don't believe me? Look it up. The highway system was strategically built throughout cities throughout this country to disrupt the neighborhoods of prominent black people. Go look it up. These whites resisted any economic and political gains made by blacks. Why? Because you're not supposed to be here if you're not a slave. So we don't want to give them nothing. They don't want to give y'all nothing. They don't want to do it. That's why it has to be taken. That's why we cannot allow people on the outside looking in, talking about what we ain't finna get as a people. I ain't hearing that. Lynchers were seldomly arrested, and if arrested, rarely convicted. Rapers, 1993, estimated at least 1.5 of the lynchings carried out with police officers participating. So when we speak in terms of the justice system and the criminal system, that you can't reform a system that originally comes from slave catching, first of all. And then after the slave catching, then they went through 100 years of Jim Crow. All the way up to the 60s. Hello, it's only 2021. This shit wasn't that long ago, son. Okay? Pay attention. And that in the 19th of the other officers either condoned or winked at the mob's actions. Lynching served many purposes. It was cheap entertainment. Who finds killing somebody entertainment? Did y'all hear that? I ain't write this. I'm not saying this. Just listen now. They said it was entertainment. It serves as a rallying. Rallying against what? The mixing of the races. Remember, they said it was criminal for the... Alright? Unknitting points for whites. Hold up. Uniting points for whites. So they unite and find it entertaining over slaughtering somebody to death? Alright. It functioned as an ego massage for low-income community. No. See, now they try. See, that's where even this got some bullshit in it. I'm not finna let them do that. It serves as an ego massage for low-income, low-status whites. Nah, that's everybody, because it wasn't just the low-income, low-status whites. You just said the police was involved with it. So if the police, so was the mayor. So was if the mayor, so was all the councilmen and all the upper echelon whites as well. Don't try to separate it, cuz it was a method of defending white domination and helped to stop or retard the fleeing social equality movement. So, and keep in mind, this happened up to the 60s. So do you think it had stopped in the 60s? No. We're now living in Jim Crow 2.0. See, it has to be convert now because we own it is. But you can still see some of the same similarities in the practices in which today. Lynch mob directed their hate against one, sometimes several victims. The victims were an example of what happened to black men who tried to vote, who looked at a white woman, who tried to get a white man's job. See that? It's always economical. So voting is power. Woman is, race mixing. Job economical. So that says reparations. So don't let nobody tell you that you begging for something that you owe. Don't let nobody tell you that it's okay for everybody to be repaired for their wrongs and injustices, but you're not. Don't let nobody punk you out talking about you begging or none of that. Nah, we demanding, because it's always in black and white. That list is here. Where does this come from? Unfortunately, blacks sometimes, the mob was not satisfied to just murder a single or several victims. Instead, in the spirit of programs, and the mobs went into black communities and stored additional lives and property. You see what I'm saying? It's property. Property houses the business. Businesses houses the economics. It's all economics. They don't want you to succeed, which is the reason why they tossing around giving $450,000 to people's families that were separated at the border. This is a fucking lesson on Jim Crow. We ain't even talking about the atrocities of slavery, but let me go on, because I'll be here all day with this shit. Their immediate goal was to drive out, through death or expulsion, all blacks. The larger goal was to maintain at all costs white supremacy, but they act like white supremacy don't exist. It's right here for you, sir. Actions are also referred to as riots. However, the right, Gunnar Miter was right when he described these riots as a terrorization or a massacre, mass lynchings. That's exactly what they was. Now notice in history, they always talking about this riot, or the wooty woo riot. Even in like Minnesota, there was the Plymouth riot. It always starts over some racial shit. They burned down Plymouth. Why? Because that's where black people was getting it in at. These mass lynchings were primary urban phenomenon, whereas lynchings of a single victim was primary a rural phenomenon. That's bullshit. That shit happened everywhere. It's still happening right now to this day. James Weldon Johnson, a famous black writer, labeled it as 1999 Red Summer. It was a red from racial tension. It was red from bloodletting. During the summer of 1919, there were race riots, which we all know was terrorizations and lynchings, mass lynchings. There was race mass lynchings and terrorizations in Chicago, Illinois, Knoxville, Nashville, Tennessee, Charlotte, South Carolina, Omaha, Nebraska, 24 other cities. W.E.B. Du Bois, the black social scientist, the civil rights activist, wrote, during that year, W.E.B. Du Bois, he's eight. Oh, hold on. Okay. During the year 77, Negroes were lynched, on which one was a woman and 11 were soldiers. Of these, 14 were publicly burned. 11 of them were burned alive. That year, there was a race riot, largely in small and 26 American cities, including 38 killed in Chicago riot of August, and from 25 to 50 in Phillips County, Arkansas, and 6 killed in Washington. And I'm willing to bet y'all that those rioters, those terrorists and those acts were to target prominent black individuals in that city to get them business out of here and scare their offspring from pursuing it. I'm telling you, that's what it was. Which is the reason why we don't own shit. Because black people, like any other people in this country, has always been foiled by the government. Everybody else has been left to flourish. That's the reason why you got a goddamn Chinatown in every city you go to. That's why there's a Mexican town in every city you go to, because they're not systematically targeted for economic deprivation. Come on, hello, come on. Riots of the 1990s were first or last mass lynching of blacks, as evidence of race riots in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898, Atlanta, Georgia 1906, Springfield, Illinois 1908, East St. Louis, Illinois 1917, Tulsa, Oklahoma 1921, Detroit, Michigan 1943. Urban racial violence claimed that riots of the 1900s had ended. Each of the riots, with a few exceptions, it was white people that sparked the incident by attacking black people. That's a fact. In majority of the riots, some extraordinary social conditions prevailed at the time of the riot. Pre-war social change, wartime mobility, post-war adjustment, or economic depression. So basically what they're saying is that was the excuse for the white individuals to blow their top, because they seen black people doing these things, excelling in war, excelling economically, and doing things. They don't like, that's their gauge in which what they're doing in life. It's so intertwined, which is crazy, but their gauge of how good they're doing in life is how bad they're suffering. So they think that black people weren't suffering enough and they need more suffering. So they had to go tear up and burn up their shit, to feel good about themselves, because they was getting the leg up and probably doing a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? The majority of riots occurred during the hot summer months. It's probably pretty hot. It's probably, wasn't no AC back then, first of all. So niggas was hot and mad. But second of all, it's kind of hard to riot in the winter. But anyway. Rumors played an extreme important role in the coming many riots. Rumors of criminal activity about it wasn't a rumor. See, now that's bullshit right there. See, that's bullshit, because it wasn't a rumor. The underlying thing was, we need to tear up them niggas shit because they're doing good. It wasn't no rumor. That was just the fake catalyst. because of the Jim Crow laws that was sanctioned by the government. You see how it all plays in hand. So not only the government, but the average people going off the cues of the government sanctioning that type of shit caused that shit. So that's why they went and tore it up. The police force and many others institutions was irreparably involved and participated in cause and perpetuating factors in the riots. And every one of the riots, the police sided with the attackers, either by actually participating in or failing to quell the attack. Well, they did both. Not only they participated in and they didn't quell the attack. Matter of fact, they probably threw them guns and straps and helped them go do it. And almost every instances, the fight occurred within the black community. Of course it did. Of course it did. Just like when y'all seen with George Floyd. Now they taking our protest and they're using their minions to go what? Tear up the black people shit. We just seen it happen with George Floyd because all of that shit was kicked off and started by people that did not live in that community. Basquiat omitted the following. Mass media, especially newspaper, published inflammatory articles about black criminals. Immediately before riots, blacks were not only killed, but their homes and businesses were looted, and many did not flee, were left homeless, and the goal of the white rioter was a true of white lynchers of a single victim was to instill fear and terror into blacks, therefore buttressing white dominance. So listen to what they just said right there. So they tell you that there's arms and there's different mechanisms of this shit. So they said the police, no, well, first of all, the government and empowered the police, who and then empowered the regular citizens. So they all worked in tandem to target black people. So when you speak it in terms of reparations and demanding it, well, we not only the government, but the whole country was against us, and still we're here doing our damn thing, and you're mad about that, and you gonna get mad because we gonna get them checks. Bottom line, period, it's coming, or it's just gonna go up in this motherfucker. If everybody can't be comfortable, if we ain't comfortable, we ain't shutting the fuck up. What we gotta shut up? Hell nah. So any one of your black peoples or friends or aunties or uncles or anybody talking about y'all need to come on with that, get up off of that, they busters and coons, and they scared to get what's owed to them. I understand trauma. I understand, you know what I'm saying, being fucked over and just dealing with the stress. We do it every day as black people. But that still don't mean you don't got to get what you owe. This has been a lesson in Jim Crow. I guess this is what they talking about by critical race theory. They don't want this type of shit being out there because, yes, it should make little Timmy and little Susie feel bad. That's y'all people, not mine. I got to deal with the fact that this happened to my people and how we gonna get out of it. If y'all was had any type of morals or any type of feelings that they try to impose on us, which they don't, y'all should understand that they put that moral shit on y'all as black people so that you don't clap back. So don't think, I don't know why you always try to appeal to the humanity of said individuals, because the government upheld Jim Crow and lynchings by surmising that blacks were separate class. Yeah, and guess what? That's where Kamala Harris come from. Kamala Harris come from the place where they actually practice the caste system. Matter of fact, they got the caste system from us over here. So that's what they're trying to institute. Man, y'all better wake up and pay attention, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all. This is a little history lesson from Jay Lava. Gotta bring that shit back. Sometimes we forget where shit come from. So don't let nobody tell, man. Don't let nobody stun on you that I had 100-year head start on you. Yeah, exactly. Well, we're already in those same steps of that here in America. That's what they're trying to institute right now. You can even see that with the unswaccination and the swaccination. So yeah, so I know we got some intelligent people. And my fault, I didn't see the comment section because I was actually reading on the other page, so I wasn't here so I could see the comments. But I appreciate y'all tapping in. Just want to learn y'all a little something right now. And they said that's the mid 60s, fam. It's only 2020, so it was like 40, 60 years back. That was like 60 years ago. Like 60 years ago. Not even a lifetime yet. So, man, and South African apartheid. Yeah, that's what they do. They trying to do the same thing they doing over there. That's right. How does a minority of people rule a majority of people? Where they institute apartheid type measures, which is what you see going on with the police and that kind of thing too. But we got to get on code, y'all. Love, peace, blessings, and Maloha, and I got some more. I got some more history for y'all today. Today we busting down some history on the Keep It P podcast. We letting it be known and we getting it out there. Thanks for rocking with me. I'll be right back in a minute.
Music Tuesday.
Ways for you to run my cash. Check reparation. Check reparation. Check reparation. Check reparation. Check reparation. Check reparation.
Tryna bring it back. Tryna bring it back. Tryna bring it back.
I bring it back like I took you from the premises. I bring it back like it's stolen from my nemesis. I bring it back. Shawty bang my line. You can holler at me later. Shawty bang my line. Shawty bang my line. Bang my line. You can holler at me later. Shawty bang my line. You can catch me on the book or DM me at IG. Consider me. Look, I don't play with this shit. You don't even know what I gave to this shit. Self-made with this shit. I slay with this shit. Been a lot of roads I done paved with this shit. Look.
Taking flight, change your life in one night. By 2 a.m. if you do it right. Up late like midnight. Small fish, big appetite. Get an extra 4 if you whip it right. Got good gas and it's light bright. Got big balls and a good pipe. One call it
Then you could just go and say, this is a possible way for me to go and lay. Man, I knew it was something couldn't ignore. It was faith, it was faith. I was in the bitch and I definitely belong here. And now that I'm here, I'ma change.
Yeah, I'm an animal, red gorilla. I eat your dog, your poochie. Get what you're gonna get, front and center. Which I grew up living life, which I knew. Standing on my tooth, graduated with my honors. TC scientific, get into what's the plan C. Throw the kickback, zip sack, throwing kicks on, get the applause.